As always, today's podcast is sponsored by Fire Facilities, makers of reliable, all-American steel fire training structures built the way you train. Fire Facilities towers, burn rooms, and mobile units help you prepare to respond and survive. Coming to you, so
Okay.
cool.
That's
What's going
cool.
on, brother?
Nah, busy week, man. Busy.
I bet.
Yeah.
So, welcome back, 3-Point Firefighter. Today, my guest, as you heard in the intro, is my buddy, my blood, my brother, Scott Wallace from Dayton Fire. Buddy, cheers to you.
Yes, sir.
So, they've listened in the intro about you being a Dayton firefighter, a training officer. They've heard that you're the duck. They've heard that you're ISFSI instructor. You do all the good things. You're somebody I care deeply about. One of my favorite people, man. How's it going up there in Dayton?
Yeah, it's good. Nice and cool today.
Is it? You tell me about your fire department. How big is that?
So it's we have 12 stations,
Mhm.
four ladder trucks, 8 engines, 8 medic units.
You got any
And
quints? Any of those trucks quints?
they all have pumps, but we don't run the quint operations. Our trucks operate as a truck.
So you don't really ever use them as a quint at all, like first aid? Or
Yeah,
anything
I
like
mean
that?
they'll pull hand lines. Yeah, they'll do that, but but we try to stay focused in, the truck does truck work and the engine does engine work. But
I love that
sometimes the case
idea.
is
We have a truck. We have 2 quints. One's called truck 1, one's called quint 2. And my issue, not that anybody asked, but my issue is the quint never really knows 100% what they're going to be, right? They don't know
yeah,
if they're going on to run as a truck or they're going on to run as a engine. And plus, they make all the medical runs, so that truck gets beat up a lot. Um, so I'm kind of, but the other one is a truck, but it just does truck work. So they know when they go out, they're just going to be doing truck work. I feel like it's kind of almost, not only my opinion, but I feel like it's kind of a little much to ask a company to wait till the run comes in to decide if they should be a truck or an engine. That's my thought.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, and like our first new truck, they know that the captain on that truck is inside division, and
Mhm.
their primary work is forcible entries, primary search, doing the inside stuff, and then all working fires gets a second truck, and their outside truck work, control utilities and other tasks that are required. First engine is always the attack engine. Second engine, supply. We back down for our supply lines.
Mhm.
And third engine usually is support, and third engine is the operator's usually AO.
What about
Yeah,
RIT? Do you have dedicated RIT or do you a
yeah.
RIT rig?
Yeah, RIT, or we use the RIT, but yeah, it could be that third engine, or the district chief could request a additional apparatus to be assigned to RIT.
Are there anything like, so you're in the training division, right?
Yes, sir.
So yes, sir. I like that.
Ah,
Oh, you've never
oh, I had to
called me,
throw that
sir.
in. Yeah,
Gotcha, motherfucker.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so as a training officer, is there any time that you would be called out to a fire for any reason
Um,
whatsoever?
I mean, we listen, when we're there Monday through Friday. If something, and we can, if it's something noteworthy of, that we could gain for training, we could go. Um, you know, Recalls, we're subject to recalls,
Mhm.
for staffing, or it could be, if whatever logistical support could be needed, within the city as well. So yeah, we're
Okay.
we're subject to it, but it's not like we get assigned to the actual incident. But yeah, we a lot of times, we'll go and kind of document, especially if it's a second alarm fire. We'll definitely get involved with that.
Yeah, I'll go as training officer. I will go from time to time and I usually show up and just ask the battalion chief what they want. Usually it's some type of safety role, or maybe if it's a big enough place, they have me, be a division guy. Um, and so, it's kind of hit or miss for me as well. It's always fun as a training officer, though, to see how your guys are handling the fires and doing everything they're supposed to be doing based on what you teach them. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming everything you teach in your academy and all your firefighters is done 100% perfectly on the fire ground every time.
Yeah, that that's not the correct answer, but yes, I mean
Yes, I do know that.
but yeah, I mean you want to say that yes that it's being done, but things get said, things get done, and then we'll you know if it gets critiqued, we can if it's a big incident requires like a PIA, then that we definitely get involved with that, and add the training component to it. You know, you don't want to sit there Monday morning quarterback going in as training, but you pick up stuff, take pictures, and and then guys don't like to be oh you didn't do this, you didn't do that, but
Right.
you can take it and then use it as a if it was something major, then it can be addressed, but we don't jump over the district chief runs our district, and we have a district chief of the training center that it's handled internally that way, but
Mhm.
for the most part, like we'll pick up stuff. If we see stuff, take pictures, take video, and use it as lesson learned stuff.
That's good. That's good. So it's not
Yeah,
really a punishment kind of thing. It's more like,
yeah,
hey guys, here's how we can enhance our skills. Build on the skills we already
yeah.
have. And if people aren't, by the way, if you're listening to the podcast, you got to go to YouTube and watch the video and look at his awesome shirt. It's a 3-point firefighter shirt, and then behind him he has his helmet that he travels with when I teach with him, and it's a glorious, glorious Taylor
Yeah.
10. And we are part of a secret society, and he is known as the Duck. There it is. He's showing it. I, of course, because of my majesty and how glorious I am the Eagle. And then we have Jesse Marcotte, who's been on here before. He is the Falcon. And we have a new addition to our
Oh yeah,
secret bird society. Who's
yeah.
that? And what's his nickname?
Oh, Sean Biggins.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, yeah.
And what'd you name
What
him?
it? Well, what do we do? We said the hawk, right?
We called him the Hawk because there was a hawk
Yeah,
flying over him.
yeah. Right
Yeah,
over, right. Our last class up in Michigan. Yeah. It was just kind of like we were like all the other 2 days trying to come up with it, and you kind of said, well, I got to do it, and then it was just kind of there,
it's
just
perfect, right?
happened. Yeah, it was just
Well,
like, okay, well, we got to do it.
that that's how you got your name though. So we were training, and I think we were in Olathe. Is that right,
Yeah,
Kansas?
yeah, yeah.
And so Scott is an excellent instructor, and he really loves throwing water, moving hoses, and teaching the UL studies. And I always get a kick out of watching. First time I think I taught with him was water mapping. But anyway, I'll never forget the smoke is theater smoke, but it came pouring out of the bottom, and here comes Scott walking, soaking wet. You could tell the inside of his toenails were wet because there was so much water, and he had
Yeah,
this
for
big
sure.
smile, like a kid on Christmas. And I'm like, oh shit, he's the Duck. And then, of course, on the shield that he has, it says the Duck, but at the bottom there's always a little tagline. Everybody's got a specific tagline. His is an Andy Fredericks quote: "As the first line goes, so goes the fire." And I couldn't help but think
Hmm.
that when you became the Duck.
Yeah. Well,
Probably
that day
greatest
also
moment of your
that.
life, probably, right?
Oh no, well, I don't know, all the way back to probably Indy the first time we met when that was when we did our very first basic fire class. That was probably the best
Oh,
time.
that's right.
But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but I mean, besides that day, in Alathea, it was like, I mean, it rained, so we were already wet, and then we just
yeah.
we'll just flow a bunch of water.
Keep
So
getting wetter, man.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
I've seen
absolutely.
a pattern, and let me ask you this: so you go around the country. I know I work with you a lot. What do you think the common problem that you see? And I'm not bashing on anybody, but when you're teaching, like water mapping and hose movement and all that, what do you think? What do you see? What's your common problem that you're seeing across the country?
Um, it comes back to the lack of not knowing where the water's going.
Right.
The shock that everybody sees, like, oh, I never thought of that. Like, I never thought that of water, the momentum carrying like that, and all the way to like, yeah, I did a three skid fire in a burn room, and that's how I was taught to put out fire. And
Right.
not having the, the training, which it wasn't there. I mean, the studies weren't there when, myself and yourself that, we didn't have that study. The studies
No.
weren't there, and the the technique. I mean, when you introduce and everybody's, if it's combination nozzle, smoothbore nozzle, whatever, it's, when you sit and show them like the techniques, they're like, oh, I never thought of that. Common problem is just the lack of getting educated on the new research.
Hmm.
If I wasn't involved in the society, I don't know if I would have found the research as much as, I wasn't a research guy.
Right.
I'm a get my hands dirty type of guy. And like, but then when it got introduced to me, and it was like, wow, really eye opening for me. And then when we deliver these classes, it's like, yeah, like I get where you were at, and I feel that way. I mean, I know how you feel, but like this is good stuff. Like this is stuff that you really need to incorporate in your department and get the message out. And the importance part of us is when we teach this, and all the cadres that teach the water mechanics, water mapping stuff, is
Hmm.
delivering the message right. And it's not about like, oh, the smooth bore versus combination, blah blah blah. That's not what it's about. What it's about
No.
is learning how to move hose, airfields, those guys, all those, that do that stuff. It's like, yeah, I mean, they got it right. And it's like more and more of that needs to be taught, and with ISFSI, it's like, we get the opportunity to do a lot. And taking this message to a lot of departments is great, that we can deliver up-to-date research and have our backing when we sit and do water mapping in the prop. And everybody's eyes get wide open like, wow, I never thought of water going that way. I just want to put it on that red stuff you
Right.
know that
And
that
people,
that's always the thing.
yeah, and that's the thing that we're fighting. Old firefighters that are set in their ways. We're old firefighters, sort of
Yeah.
set in our ways, but like you said, our eyes were open, and there's no way that you can read this research and not change your tactics, not
Hmm.
change your strategy for your department.
Hmm.
And if you're not doing it, you're putting people in harm's way. So the old like one of the things that we teach, and one of the things I love watching Scott teach so much is air entrainment. It's air and water. Is all it is, air and water.
Oh yeah, everyone.
So
Yep.
Scott teaches how how air will drag or water will drag air behind it, a low pressure front behind it. And it's going to bring more and more air. The idea of spraying through a fire and hitting the back wall is useless. Having
Hmm.
to a steep angle at the ceiling and then raining it down, and you're coating all the surfaces evenly, contracting those gases, which is what we want. We want to contract those gases quickly because they're going to be replaced by cool air, and almost always on the bottom, and that's where our victims are.
Yep.
So it's great information. You go to fsri.org, I believe,
Yes.
and there's free training, and it's all the studies. So the ISFSI basically is sort of an informal branch, education branch of the FSRI that do all the studies. And then Scott and I get to go out with a bunch of fantastic instructors
Hmm.
and go some great places uh, and teach this stuff. So for us, we teach it over and over and over, and it's always the same results, right? So when we
Yep.
teach water mapping or air entrainment, we're never surprised. Everything happens exactly the same way every time. It's science. So if you're out there listening and you're like, I don't know about that bullshit,
Hmm.
first off, you're wrong. And
Yeah.
second off, get
Yeah.
educated. Get educated. Take
Yep.
care of your company, take care of your district, take care of your department. Learn the stuff. It's the real deal. Um, was there any time like when you were teaching the Scott, any of the stuff, basement fire, 1700, any of that stuff that you were still kind of questioning it a little bit, or were you all in as soon as you saw the data?
No, like I mean the first basement fire that I did, it was in Ohio, and like I kind of got thrown to that. And I mean, and I had done the videos that Brad French made. Well, my crew, when I was in company, we made the videos for his part of the water
Mhm.
mapping, and I was
Oh,
kind of like, yeah, yeah, that kind of how like it all kind of started like that. I got that experience, and then Brad's one that got me in the society, and owe it to him to where I'm at today. Um, and like, so when I went to that first class, and Brad's like, "Oh yeah, you know what to do with this water map," and then you know that first one, I was like, "Okay, like, what's the best way to teach this?" Like, and because every place we go is different, and until you
Hmm.
go to setup day, and you're just kind of like, okay, what I got to work with, right? And then you just kind of come up with it. I remember the first day, we went to the dollar store and bought a bunch of plastic Tupperware to show them how much water we was containing. And then like it built up to like, okay, I got 5 gallon buckets. And then we got to the point where it's like, hey, we need to get some smooth surfaces so they can see the momentum and, watch the water, and like, because a lot of the, places we go on is either, concrete wall, which had the smooth surface, or like the inside of panels of fire facilities, like could
Love fire
have
facilities.
yeah, that's why I was giving that plug right back here. But
I like it, brother. I
like
like it. You take care of
yeah,
me.
yeah. But like and it just kind of built, and it just kind of like once just like anything else, going out and teaching, you learn as much as they're learning, right? I mean,
Yep.
every single one of those, I brought something back and then made it better the next time. And that's where
Yes.
I think like, and then having everybody engaged, like supporting each other when we go teach
Hmm.
makes it. And then we all kind of got our own niche. I mean, I wish we could continue with like Basin Fire and 1700 both. It was like, I felt like we were rolling. I mean, every one we did was getting better, and,
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
know,
And then the grant runs out, and
yeah,
like we just did the very last NFPA 1700 for this year under the grant, and we were in we were okay. So we're not
yeah,
just outside Detroit.
oh, yeah, yeah.
So we're at Northville. So we were just outside of Detroit's just outside of Northville. That's how we
Yeah.
should say it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we were rolling through that stuff, and everybody was clicking. Everybody, we were picking up what we needed to pick up for the other person.
Hmm.
It was fantastic. And then it's like, well, all right, now we're moving on to the next one, which is going to be engine company operations
Yeah.
and water mapping again, host room mechanics, I guess. But that's going to be exciting.
Hmm.
But yeah, you're right. You get this rhythm going and quality classes. I really think that our basement fire class is absolutely one of the best in the country, and I'm hoping that we're going to start offering that.
Yeah.
Uh, and then 1700, I'm still running into people that say, well, "I've never heard of NFPA 1700," and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Got to check it out, brother. Especially if you're a training officer, you got to check it out."
Absolutely. And they get scared away by like NFPA, and like they don't read into it, and it's like, well, actually, we're not saying this is standard. When we sit and tell them, hey, this is stuff we've been doing. It's just under one
Mhm.
guide. Like it's like NFPA 1700. Oh God, we don't follow all the standards, right? And so they just like, well, I'm not taking that class. We can't follow it. Well, in reality, it's everything that we do already. It's just honing the skills and then adding the
Yep.
the, the research with it. If it comes from search, ventilation, even the IC position on the outside. A couple of our classes, some people like didn't even really even think about doing the 360 with the camera. Like,
Mhm.
oh, and Jesse does a great job with that part, and it's like, yeah, I mean, there's a lot, and that's probably the biggest thing when it comes to fire services is getting people to keep buying in. We all say, oh, we don't want to change, I don't want to change, blah blah blah. But the reality, I mean, the our service is a living document. You cannot just stop. You can't just
Mhm.
okay. That's it. I got my card. I'm going to go fight fire every day. It's a game changer. The buildings change. Our PPE changes. Our tactics change. I mean, your manning
Preach.
changes. Whatever you got. I mean, everything changes, and every department's different. But if there's the standard of, hey, we should do this. No, it's not slicers. It's not this. It's exterior water application. Okay, you can still call it what you want, but yeah, I mean, you still can. You can still call it transitional attack. But in the standard, it says exterior water application. Okay,
Right.
and what are we doing? We're making it more tenable, making it more tenable for us. You know, the victims. We're putting them first. The studies have shown that that it's not pushing fire. It's not
No.
you know killing people by doing it. We're making it more tenable. I mean, some of those videos that we show when we teach these classes, it's like, just watch this, just watch these
Mhm.
videos. That one out Florida that we Fort Walton Beach, I think is what the one where they
Yeah,
show that.
Shannon Stone's brother. I think
Yeah,
it's Shannon Stone's brother. I think that the VES one you're talking about.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
amazing.
That I mean, that is. I mean, you want to see like a lot of the things we talk about between transitional attack, exterior water application, what you want to call it, and then you look at how they go in, belly in, they do the search, they stay low, communicate. I mean, all the stuff that you hear from day one of like recruit classes, like, okay, that captain's still doing they're all still doing their job, and then when they bring the victim out, they did everything right. And
Yep.
we've preached that how many times when we taught that class, and it's like, hey, that's good stuff. I mean, that shows you, and then the little tricks of the trade of, hey, one guy's masking up, the other one's flowing water, mask up and go. That just
Yeah.
those little quick tidbits that helps people.
Well, I'll
You
tell you
know,
what.
I
What grinds my gears is idiots, and I'm going to call you an idiot if you're listening to this and going, "Hey, that's me." Well, you're probably an idiot. If you are a kind of person that does that hit it hard from the yard, transitional attack ain't for me. I ain't fighting fire from the outside. No, buddy. I tell you what. You watch 2 minutes of a 3-hour movie and think you've got the plot because that ain't it, brother. It ain't about
yeah,
fighting fire from the outside. It's about using the reach of your stream, making it more tenable for the victim, and then getting in there and doing your job. Now, you would never in a burning building go past fire. You would put it out. You don't walk past fire. Why would you do it outside? And if you apply that water in a certain way, it's going to be better for the victims. Now, if you don't want to do that because you want to go in and feel the heat and all that, please get out of the fire service because you're not a fireman. Firemen take care of victims, and that's ego. Ego is like, fuck that big fire. I'm gonna go inside and get it. No, man, don't be that guy. You're now putting at risk little Johnny in the Spider-Man pajamas on the ground because you want to prove what a badass you are.
yeah,
Put water in the window if you got the opportunity, cool that area, contract those gases, make it better for your victims. But if you're one of those boner firemen, brothers, just go be a cop or something. If you're all about the ego, go be a cop because that ain't it, brother. We're here
yeah,
for them, period, flat,
yeah,
full stop, end of story. We're here for them. And if that means we got to spray a little bit of water on the outside while we're doing a 360 and make things better, let's do that shit. It could drop the floor temperature hundreds of degrees.
yeah,
You could save
absolutely.
people's fucking lives.
Hmm.
But I get on a soapbox sometimes, Scott. Sorry,
I
I
mean,
hate those. I hate those firemen.
well, and I've had like scenes. One really sticks out in my head where we had a truck delayed getting there, and we had a boarded up 2-story wood frame, and we had uh, we had heavy fire on the second floor, and so engine company, we don't carry saws in our engines, but so I had one guy forcing the door with hand tools, and then the other guy's flowing water from the outside. Uh, the time the second crews got there. We made entry, done it, and they're like, man, I thought you guys had a lot of fire. It's like, yeah, we did. We just put a lot of it out. And honestly, you could actually see like the line of demarcation, like exactly where it stopped. It was pretty
Oh,
impressive. I
really?
mean, oh yeah, yeah. The only thing there was a knee wall that you could see where it still had a hot spot at, but I mean, it was a perfect, like when you're talking about that exterior application, making it tenable, making a difference. That was a good one. And our department has really went to making those type of attacks. I mean, it's not uncommon. I wasn't on it a week or so ago. They had a really good 2-story a row apartment fire, and they did a great job, and it makes you feel good because it was some of the recruits I just had did a
Oh,
like a
yeah.
second floor. They did an exterior hit, and when they went in, I mean, it was like boom, knocked it down like right now. And so and that stuff, like I get some of that stuff. Brad French goes out, he's the PIO, and he takes photos and stuff, and he was telling me some stuff about that, and he says it was exactly like what we talk about, and that if we would have had a video, it would have been like perfect to show. So, but yeah,
It's hard. It's hard. You get set in your ways when you're an
yeah,
older firefighter. And you kind of mentioned this earlier, and I want to touch back on it.
okay,
You said you don't get your card and go, boom, I'm a fireman now,
yeah,
right? any certification you get, firefighter one, firefighter two, fire officer one, two, three, four, whatever it is, whatever certification you get in the fire service, it's not a finish line. It's the starting point. It's a license to learn. It doesn't mean you're now the perfect rope rescue guy or the perfect firefighter one or two guy. That means you've put in the effort to start your career. And if you're one of those firefighters and you don't keep up on your skill set and you don't keep learning and driving and pushing and teaching others, you're not a fireman. I'm sorry. You're a city employee. Our job demands that we constantly learn, we constantly care, and we put our citizens first.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to keep in mind. Now I will say this: anybody who's listened to my podcast for any amount of time knows I've been a big bag of shit at work before. I went through a period where I felt like, I'm settled in. I know everything. I'm good for any run. I actually remember, this is no shit, Scott. I remember at my worst, when I was the biggest piece of shit mutt firefighter you ever saw, I remember thinking, I don't have to learn anymore. I remember thinking that thought, like, man, this is nice to be this part of my career that I can handle any emergency now. I truly thought that. That's pretty arrogant if you go back and look at that, but it's the truth. That's
Hmm.
what I thought. And then I started getting more and more into training, more and more into learning. And then the big shift for me came when I just put it all in perspective. I'm not here for me. I'm not here for even anybody in the fire department. I'm here for the victims, for the patients, for the people outside the fire department. And if you change your perspective on that, you can't help but move into a better fire career. But yeah, to your point earlier, you don't stop learning, right?
Yeah.
Who wants to go to a cardiologist that's said, I got my certificate about 30 years ago. Hey, let me cut your chest open. Fuck no.
Hmm.
I want
Yeah.
somebody that stays on top of shit.
Well, and I mean, with the changes of things, I mean, if it's between, if your department changes hose load, changes air packs, and you know, changes apparatus, changes tactics, whatever it is, I mean, just that stuff in itself is something you should, be staying up on all the time.
Mm,
If you're changing high rise loads, high rise operations, whatever. But if you're not willing and everything's a fight, which a lot of departments run into that, like, oh, I'm just I'm not doing it. This is the way I was taught, and this is what we're doing. And and that's always. I mean, everybody has that. Every department, and it's the delivery that is how you do it. Is when you
right.
do the deliveries, make the trainings like where you're making them successful. And
Yes.
make the training successful for them to succeed, so then they're more willing to make that change.
Oh
That
yeah.
would be like that's where I like when you sit and like, oh well, I'd like to call a company out. We'll do this drill for 8 hours. That will never go, because then
Mm,
when they get done, then they're going to go take 15, 20 runs or something, and get smoked all night. But if you take off little bites and take it as a marathon and not a sprint, your career,
yep.
then you'll be solid, at the end of the game. But yeah, if you even if you pick up a fire engineering magazine or firehouse magazine, just that's something better. That, like, that
Yes.
that statement I talk about when I give that the decon talk, like that one there, how I said, like, everybody talks about, oh, well, we don't have a second set of gear, or we just come out, get a cylinder, we go back in, and you know we may grab a drink of water, but you got dirty hands. I'm like, okay, well, just do one thing better. Grab some wipes, wipe your hands before you get that water. Just do something better, one thing better. Everybody knows that person that's died of cancer or been on your department or close to your department, and you know we don't need that. And if it means using some sort of a wipe, and you know deconning your gear, and all the stuff that we should do, that's the message that, like, you really need to drive home with the younger people is, hey, we're putting you in this nasty environment, and it's not cool to have your stuff just sitting around. Yeah, maybe breathing, but wash your gear.
Yeah.
Dayton, everybody gets two sets of gear. And they got time to go shower and all that stuff. I mean, that is something. I mean, Was that the way it was when I started? No. But that we got the wipes and stuff, but we're not probably doing like full-fledged, like the standard states, but we're doing something. And that's and I know I've been guilty of it too. I'm not going to sit here and say that I didn't think a fire helmet was you know not cool, unless it was dirty and all that stuff, and not washing your gear. I
Yeah.
mean, but like I said, I mean, every time you put that helmet on for an auto accident, fire alarm, all that stuff, well, now you just subject of yourself, possible contamination, since absorption in the head's one of the top spots, right? Um,
Yeah.
and that's just that's a culture change in the fire service. So not like that is something that has to be instilled. Um, we know Frank Leaves like huge into that, and we when we were there in FDNY, that with their kits that they were rolling out, I mean, they were coming, getting theirs squared away. So
Yeah. I do remember you got thrown to the wolves on that one
yeah,
at the Rock.
yeah, sure did. But I mean, I planned for that. I mean, like I was like, okay, what are you going to do when you go to the largest department in the world, and talk to them about cleaning their gear? I mean, you make it. It's talk about what I said. You come up with a delivery that will be well received, and not just say, well, this is the way it is, and this is the way you guys should do it. That's never going to
Right.
work.
No.
And that's the way I feel like with all training you deliver. No matter if it's the simple, hey, we're changing a hose load to, how you hook a hydrant or whatever. It's mainly like, okay, it's a delivery and your attitude as an instructor to deliver it correctly. You know,
Right.
and that's why I think like
Now,
our core group that we have when we deliver these classes, it makes it nice because we all have the same thought. We might come from different parts of the country, but we all come there and we know what the message is going to be, you know,
mhm,
and that's what makes it cool. I mean, ISFSI has made me a better instructor, in the past several years, just because of working with guys like you and Jesse and Brett, all the guys that we work with, right? Because
right.
you everybody picks up something from each other. I mean, I hooked
Oh
up
yeah.
with Kaz this week. Bam, sent Kaz a text about needing some training, and like within 15 minutes I had it. And
Oh
that's
yeah.
like, I mean, that's the cool part, of what we do, and getting you can pretty much you reach out to any of us and we can get the resource.
It's a great network, and I really wish more people would not only join the ISFSI and become members, because it is that exact thing. It's you have access to some of the best instructors in the United States, in North
Yeah,
America.
yeah,
And why would you not want that? And it's so cool. Sometimes I'll look on my phone and somebody be called, it'll say Scott Wallace. I'm like, cool. Forrest Reader,
yeah,
Blassetti,
yeah.
Marcotte, Brad French. He's a big hero of mine. It is so cool that I can talk to these people and not reinvent the wheel, and you know further my career on the backs of other people, that they've already done the work and they're like willing to share it. So yeah, it is super cool. Now with the ISFSI, I think I know your answer. What's your favorite place you've ever had to teach at?
Well,
Got
I
to teach
mean,
at, I should say.
well, I mean, obviously, the best, the best experience. I mean, that anybody would hope for. I mean, you get to go to the Rock. I mean, the FDNY. I mean, I got that opportunity to go with you and Jesse and Brian and who else was there? Oh, Mike. Who else was there with us? Uh,
Oh yeah, McCarthy. Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
Chad,
Chad, yeah, Chad, and it's
Chad.
not fair that we have Chad Christensen and Mike
Yeah,
McCarthy in the same
yeah,
room. We're
yeah,
stealing stuff from the fire department when that
yeah,
happens.
yeah.
They're
But
both awesome.
like that experience, was it great? But like, I can't say none of them were like, oh, that was just like horrible, because every time I got better as a instructor, and I felt like the classes went better. You know, I feel like we learned a ton at teaching FDNY, since that was like technically our first delivery, and then I don't know how many times we talked that, being there a week doing two classes, like
Yeah.
I mean, we changed on the fly, right? I mean, we like flipped the
Oh yeah.
script a little bit, and we ironed out a lot of stuff. But I mean, we were able to do it. I mean, we can't leave out Cirillo was there, of course, too. So,
Oh no, the man
I mean,
himself,
because
Captain of
that's
Rescue
what,
One.
yeah. I mean, Cirillo hooking us up with, all the cool stuff in our Friday evening activity. Of taking us on a surprise visit. That was awesome. Um,
He's one of the classiest people I think I've ever met in the fire service. So
yeah,
John Cirillo, for those that are listening, Captain of Rescue One, FDNY, he's an instructor for the ISFSI, and every time we've gone up there, he makes sure that we get to do some of the coolest things. So we all got to go to see the documentary, The Chief, I
yeah,
believe,
yeah.
with a talking part afterwards with the like Frank Lee and the
Frankly,
family, and
yeah,
then we got to go to McSorley's.
yeah.
He sent us to Vanguard. Is it Vanguard one? But
Well,
he
yeah.
sets us up like he's a host.
Well, and the Rescue One party itself was like super awesome that he invited us to.
The Rescue One party. Yeah, I
Yeah,
forgot. How did I
yeah.
forget to
I
mention
don't
that
know.
one?
I don't know.
108th birthday
Yeah,
of Rescue One. So they closed a bar, and only Rescue One people and FDNY people were there, free drinks and food. And we got invited, and we got to see some really heavy hitters in the fire
yeah.
service. Did we
For
not?
real, for real.
Oh my
Like
goodness.
people that are on books. I mean, and just to sit and hang out with. I mean, that was that, and that's why I in that experience. I mean, you know, that that's like way up here. Um, yeah, that was awesome, and
Oh
that
yeah.
I'll never forget all that.
No, that was definitely the high point of my career. I've said it
Yeah,
before. I was on a podcast and they asked me, they said, "So what goals do you have for the rest of your career?" And I've never been asked that before. I wasn't prepared for the question. And I kept thinking, I'm like, I don't have any more goals. I said, I've exceeded my goals when I started to teach for the ISFSI and got to go to FDNY twice. I said, I've exceeded my goals. That's it. I
hmm
got nothing else. And I'm happy with it. I'm tickled to death with it.
yeah.
Oh, man. Hey, let me ask you this. Let me switch gears on you a little bit here,
All
brother.
right, let's go.
I meant to come on with it. I meant to ask you early on, how'd you get the fire service? What's your origin story?
Well, I mean, I'm a firehouse brat, brother. I mean, my dad became a firefighter in 1970 as a volunteer, and he became a volunteer chief in 1977, and I was born in 74. So I pretty much was at a firehouse all the time. I mean, but small volunteer. I mean, grew up around it and loved, just loved all the brotherhood that they had. And, obviously, back in then when, the volunteer days were, really fun and they got to do, things that, with families and all the get-togethers and all the fun stuff that they did back in the day, and you know, and I knew like I even probably like seventh, eighth grade, I probably knew like that was my end game, and so I got on there as soon as I graduated. Uh, you know, I had already been in some live fire training, but prior to that, but and I promoted up. I became a lieutenant pretty quick, and then a captain, and I took over training out there. Um, and so I was on there for 15 years. Worked part time, a lot of places, southern Montgomery County, because the back then, I mean, the competition was fierce. Like everybody was taking tests, and the job market isn't like it is now. There's a lot of around here. I mean, firefighter EMT positions, career EMT positions around. That wasn't even an option back then. Um, and so I mean that's how I got in. I mean, and I knew it, right away. I mean, I was all in right away and went to get my degree and all that stuff, and right out of high school. Um, and then I got it, and it was just struggle finding that career job. I mean, I tested for Dayton several times, and the competition was pretty fierce. But I got into building inspections. I did that for about 11 years. And then
Oh, I
when
didn't know that.
yeah, I was a building inspector, uh, local, a couple suburbs around us, and I I did that, and but I mean that wasn't my end goal. But I mean I kind of related to doing this inspections and stuff, and I kind of got to the age I was like, oh man, 33, I'm about done. Like it's coming to an end, like, and Dayton came a call and I was on their list, and then they did one more class and then I was in, and that was
At 33?
yep, 33. So yeah, this is actually September 17th, 2007. So about 16 years there. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So how was it being in the 30s in your first academy?
Um, Well, I kind of knew it. I mean, obviously it was tougher because, I rode a desk, but I wasn't the oldest. I wasn't the oldest. Uh, there was uh, there was several. I mean, guys that were older than me in my class, and so
Wow.
yeah. But
So
yeah, that
now
one.
now fast forward. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I interrupted
No,
you.
no, you're good.
I was going to say now fast forward and you're actually in training and teaching these new recruits. And you and I have had many a conversations over adult drinks
Yeah.
about your training place. Now, tell me about when I always thought this was kind of cool. Tell me about like when your recruits before they get online, what do they have to go through? Say the last couple of days or the night. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, yeah. So actually, like I've done um several recruit classes. Our When we do a recruit class, the training center staff actually just helps kind of manage things, but they don't
Okay.
actually run the class. Um, so like my position now is as training center lieutenant. I'm also the program director for our fire charter. So it's like me and I do the admin stuff and get things ready for them. Um, and so the academy, that cadre, you kind of assist with the cadre in my current position, plus do other departmental training. And then when you're with the class, so how it works in our academy, it's 6 months, 6 month fire academy.
Mhm.
And it's EMT, uh, firefighter one, firefighter two, and fire inspector. And then, but before they go into fire inspector, we have like it's kind of a culmination. We do 3 nights and night fires at the end of the recruit class, and I mean, we run scenarios. I mean, till like 1, 2 in the morning. It's all dark, and it's all stuff. It's all scripted. I mean, we have. I mean, there's a dispatch. There's everything's. We got role playing with everything. And it's all stuff. It's not like out of the realm. I mean, it might be crazy stuff to people, but like it's stuff. It's happened. Through the
Right.
years, different officers, we created this sheet of scenarios, and we run through that. But yeah, it's pretty intense.
You're getting them ready for online. For when,
Yeah.
what
Oh
time?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's 6 months to get out in the district. I mean, and if you don't, I mean, you don't make the 6 months, and you don't get released. I mean, from you don't graduate. Um,
What do you
there's
think?
some people.
Do you usually have people that don't graduate?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah, we've had that. Yeah, I mean, and sometimes like they get like an extension, but for the most part, I mean, some just quit. You know, the last class we started at like 36, and 29 graduated. So I mean, that was a good number. I mean, that was a solid. I felt like was a solid number to graduate.
yeah.
It was actually our largest graduating class in 20 plus years, and the highest diversity class that we've had in the department. So
Oh,
it was
wow.
it was yeah, it was huge. So
So what do you do? So when you after you have your academies, you're there just for the people, the rank and file at that point. How hard is
hmm
it to manage new recruits in an academy and at the same time get the training done for your guys? Because you got a pretty substantial
well,
size
so
department.
yeah, we're a 300 person department. Um, And so, like I said, there's a cadre, there's a captain over the class that he does the administration for the class. I mean, I only like in my position now, I only have to step in when I need to.
Hmm.
When I assisted with the last class, I was the lieutenant over the class, and we had a captain did the administration part for us. Um, the lieutenant over fire in the charter doesn't is hands off unless there's things needed. So
Right.
you're able to do it. Like now, you know, I still have to do like the departmental training in my current position, whereas the cadre doesn't have to. Their focus is 6 months with the recruit class. So
I see.
there's nobody like on our training center staff that is totally like, okay, every year you got every recruit class. We bring
Oh,
guys and
okay.
gals out for that. So it makes
For
it. I
just
mean,
about every class you teach.
yeah, everyone. Yeah, it's a separate. I mean, it's a separate cadre,
Wow.
and we give them a notice. Like we've already got the captain lieutenant pick for the next class, and it's I mean, it just gives them time to get their schedule change and stuff, and to go in 40 hours.
Man, I get it. I get it.
I mean, right now we're recruiting hard. We got a big recruiting going on. They just detailed two recruiters to our training center to start doing that, and then we also have a firefighter that's an instructor, and he's actually one of our public schools, one of the Dayton public schools that we actually do a high school program as well.
Oh,
He goes there every day. I mean, he's actually on,
so
yeah.
Dayton Fire puts on like a firefighter 1, 2, whatever class
So
in the
yeah,
high schools.
it's so we're trying it. We've tried different routes. I mean, to try to figure out what the most successful route is trying to get them certified as EMTs, firefighters. So they're doing an orientation, kind of like a fire and EMS orientation, until they get up till next year they get uh, old enough to be in the class. So, because they couldn't bring in seniors since they kind of redid the curriculum. So, but yeah, we'll see how successful it is. I mean, we tried different routes. I mean, it seems to be the thing around here. We got a lot of high school programs around us, so it's becoming more and more. I would have
You
loved.
and I, we've had a bunch of conversations in the past, and every time you talk about Dayton, and I know you may not agree with this, but from my experience, when you talk about Dayton, it sounds very progressive.
Yeah,
It just sounds like a progressive department to work for. Now I know from the outside, that's a luxury I get is to say you guys seem progressive, but I know of departments that don't instill that kind of hard work and ethics in training. Bring different companies down or captains and lieutenants down to train. Put 6 months on the clock because
mm,
I know some departments that try to rush recruits out just because they don't want to pay overtime. So, and then you talk about having a couple people for just recruiting being assigned to training. I mean, everything that you talk about sounds to me, in my experience, as a very progressive department. But at the same time, you're a very old department too, right?
oh yeah, 1863.
So how do you square that? How do you square having such an old tradition built fire department, but be progressive in its recruitment and its training, which is the backbone for any department?
I guess like when it comes to the training, I mean, the standard was set, man. I mean, like it is hard for us to like for everybody says, well, their recruit class was the hardest, theirs was the hardest, everybody was the hardest, and everybody's, you're pussifying the fire service by way you guys are doing this, doing that, but it's the changing of the times too. I mean, you
Yeah,
gotta go with the flow. But one thing that will never, I mean, our 6 month will always, I mean, like that standard is the standard. I mean, you
right.
got to cross train tracks to get to our training center, and
Hmm.
when you cross the train tracks, you better leave the excuses on the other side of the tracks. That's about how it is.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Um, and as far as like to say progressive, I mean, we're the population is like 140, and it's been going down, but like right now, like we got a lot of urban living. Our downtown is getting real progressive. It's really changed from the landscape downtown has changed from when I came on. Um,
Hmm.
everybody struggles with finances, right? I mean, it's always a thing. Um, but I think, no matter what the good or the bad, and I don't like to get into the political thing saying, oh, they could give us this, they give us that. The reality is everybody that comes to our department like still takes pride in the coming and doing the job, and that's why they come. Um, they know when they come to our department. I mean, we continue to break records every year. I mean, 42,000 runs, approximately last year. I mean,
Wow.
that is busy. Um,
Yeah.
and um, and it's like, but it's the pride thing. Now, if you talk to some people, it's like, oh, the hell with that. I don't want to work there. I don't want to work there. I'm Dayton born through and through. I mean, that's like when I was in high school, I was like, I want to be a Dayton firefighter. I was a Dayton fire explorer, and I was like, I mean, I was like, I looked up to those dudes, and I was like, I'm going to be here someday. I'm going to be here, hell or high water. I want to be at this place, and there's opportunities. Came, oh, why don't you go? I was like, because this is where I want to be. I mean, that's what it was, and it's the pride thing, and now that I'm in the position I'm in, like, I feel like you know, I talked to the one of the retired lieutenants that like his name is on the street sign at the training center because he put so much time in out there. And I'm kind of like I looked up to that guy and I like always try to talk to him and tell him like the things that's going on and everything and because he was so vested at our training center and I feel like it's guys like that you have to pass that on, you
Yeah.
you that's your job, besides providing, quality great instruction. You got to pass that on.
Mhm.
If you just are going out there as like, oh, I'm gonna take it easy, not beat up my body for a while. I mean, yeah, you get that luxury, but you're not doing the fire service or your department any good by just sitting
Nope.
there and say, yeah, that's good. I'm I'm sleeping on my own bed tonight, right? And I'm not getting up 7 or 8 times after midnight. But we had a hardcore tradition, and I'm proud to say that like I get to help carry that tradition on. I mean, we tonight there's a new EMT class starting, and before I left them, I was buffing floors because you know why? Because when you walk in our training center, it's good. You look at the floors. I mean, it's older building. It's back in 67 when 1967 our training grounds, our office building, and our tower was built. And
Mhm.
but it's a pride thing. I mean, it's keep the tradition and keep the pride, and I mean that's the fire service, though, bro. I mean
It is.
that's what that if you don't have that, then you don't belong in this business.
Nope. You're
I
right.
mean, I mean, like that, Rick Lasky's the pride and ownership. I am huge in that pride and ownership. I love that video that he does with the sitting down with the recruit and talking. I mean, that is real. That is, look what you're signing up for. I played that for a recruit class before, like, day one. Like this is what you got, you know, um, and it's it's huge. Like, and that if we don't keep that going, and it just becomes a job. I mean, some people it's kind of it's not just a job. It's also what? It's a hobby for them, right? I mean,
Right.
we what do we go teach for, right? What do we like to go teach for? Hang out with
Mm.
each other and do the fun.
Yeah.
We love teaching, but
Mhm.
we do it because it's kind of our hobby, right? I mean, outside
Yeah.
of doing it at your own department, and that's what
Yeah.
I
And we
that's
don't
what
make
I
a ton
like.
of money doing it.
No,
We don't make if you sell a PTO and look at our paycheck, I'm not complaining about our money. That's
yeah,
not what I'm doing here. What I'm saying is we don't do it for the money.
no,
We do it because we have a passion for teaching and we love hanging out with each other in different states.
yeah.
Because
I
that's what
mean,
we do.
2 weeks ago we were riding on a Detroit fireboat together.
I know,
All
right?
right.
That was so cool.
I mean, and I
And
mean,
I went to a baseball
I
game
know,
or
I
it was a
know.
football game. I don't know which one it
Yeah, I
was.
know.
It was a
Yeah,
sporting event.
yeah, right.
And I was just waiting for the marching band to come out, and they never did. So I'm
Yeah,
assuming it was a tennis match. I don't know.
and it wasn't a
Yo,
field
you're
goal.
right. We do so many cool things. It's you can't measure it with money.
Yeah,
And you're around people that care about the fire service,
yeah.
like yourself. They have that pride, and they want to share it. And that's it right there. And I've said this before. Knowledge without sharing in the fire service is just currency. It's something you hold to make
Hmm.
yourself look better, right? It's something you use to make other people feel bad. If you know something, you have an obligation to share it in the fire service, because everybody needs to network and do everything they can to make not only themselves better, but the number one job is to make sure our citizens are safe and getting safer.
Yep.
Make sense?
Yes, sir. And you know the thing is like,
That's two
get,
sirs. You call me sir twice.
oh
I love
God,
it.
all right, fucker.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but you know, like anybody that like it's, if you should want to pass it on. Like I still remember my first officers dating my first officers, you know, at other departments, and it's like I still felt like if I didn't do good, I'd be letting them down. Like, you know, we got every year Dayton, our union puts on a retirees dinner, and we have a retirees. You know, they come back. It's a big deal. They play golf on one day, and then and uh, and I always look forward to talking to them guys because it's almost like I don't say that checking up on you, but I like to tell them the good stories about how we've carried things on. You know, and
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that is like super cool to be able to do that, right? And if you can't say if you go to a person that retired and you tell them all the shit stories, they're going to think that, man, we didn't leave that department in a good state, right? I mean, because
Right.
in reality, it's kind of on you to carry it on, right? I mean, they pass the torch to you, and you need to get it ready to pass it on to somebody else. If you beat down a bunch of people and don't get them ready to carry it on, they're not going to be ready, you know.
Nope.
And I mean, that's what I'm stoked. I'm doing an instructor class for 17 people starting tomorrow. I mean
Oh, is that
that's
right?
yeah, that's never happened. I mean, we've done here and there some people, but like having a class of 17 is huge. And then doing a live fire, you know, instructor after that with them. I mean, that's some huge stuff. I mean, and that's like I feel like, you know, we have to get some people ready. We got to get some seasoned instructors so that when we have them come out for 6 months, they got to be able to hold the line and hold up their end to what the you know is expected. So
That's it. Absolutely.
yeah,
Brother, I tell you what, I'm so happy you're on my podcast tonight. It's been a
well,
blast catching up with you.
yeah. Well, if it's I
And
mean, I should have been on it like 7 or 8 times because I mean, like we could have just set up at the bar or whatever. But you know,
yeah,
I
all we
mean,
had to do is record us
yeah,
in
yeah.
various
Just we,
states
yeah,
drinking at
yeah,
bars
yeah, yeah,
or lobbies.
yeah.
Fort Worth lobby was
Hey,
a
that was
treat.
I know I created that. Remember, I asked
I
for.
remember it. Yeah. So for those who don't know, you know what? I'm gonna save that story. I'm gonna save that story.
All
But you
right,
know, people listen to this, so
yeah.
maybe we don't
No, we
share
don't
all
have
of
to tell.
our
We don't
stories
tell our
publicly.
stories.
We
Yeah,
won't
that's
tell that one.
well, that was a bit. Yeah, we get some people in trouble. That's all good. No, but hey, like it was super cool to be on here. Like I was super stoked all day about the fact that I get to be on this podcast, and I love the
Brother,
message. I love
that
what
means
you
a
do.
lot. Thank you.
No, it means a lot
Man,
for
that
you
means
to
a
put
lot.
me on here, for real.
You're my best friends, brother. You're going to be
Yeah,
on here.
we
You knew it
are.
was going to be
I
on
mean,
here. Yeah.
it's like I told somebody, it's like I said, I'm going to be a podcast with like, met this guy less than 5 years ago, but I feel like we're like best friends because we're like
Oh
always
yeah.
talking and hanging out, and it's like, you know, yeah, Jake and Scott, what the fuck, blah blah blah. But it's like, yeah, you know, but it's because we enjoy each other and we do good, do good things together. So
We learn from each other. We have
yeah,
a great time together.
yeah,
And I mean, I hate that I didn't get to meet you for about 50 years, but
yeah.
after I
No
got you,
shit,
I ain't
right?
gonna let you go, brother.
No, I
I ain't gonna
know
let you
that.
go,
I know for a fact.
man.
Cool, brother.
Buddy, I love you to death.
Yep,
You
love you,
have a
man.
good night. Thank
Yep.
you for
Hey, guess
everything.
what? Hey, it's opening night of NFL.
What?
Yeah, I know
Oh
you don't know it.
shit,
I know you
Andre
don't.
Agassi.
I know you don't know that, but
He got traded to
yeah.
the Bad News Bears last
Oh yeah.
year.
All
Yeah,
right.
he's a point. Okay, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking
No,
about.
no, hell no, hell no.
Later, brother.
Just cut that segment out. All right,
Nope.
buddy.
People need to know how stupid I am.
All right, buddy.
Later, buddy.
All right, man. See you. Our
Podcast today was sponsored by Fire Facilities. This Made in America company is dedicated to constructing top quality custom training structures to meet your needs. Make your training count with all steel structures that are made to last. Visit firefacilities.com for more details.